Good evening, professors and my dear colleagues, those who are participating in this particular webinar. This is one of the important webinar which I was thinking to organize a month before. Actually, I was thinking about to organize this webinar a month ago, but due to our busy schedule, I couldn't able to organize at that time. So as the statement, as the title has given, opportunity for professors in India's human space program Gaganyaan mission. So I hope every professor, right, you might have aware of Gaganyaan mission. So in this particular lecture, I'm going to explain what are the opportunities for professors, for lecturers, for teachers, how they can contribute for India's human space program Gaganyaan mission. So myself, Punna Kishan, working as an assistant professor in aerospace department, Chandigarh University, as well as I am the initiator and coordinator of ISRO Outreach Center, Chandigarh University. So main objective to know about the available opportunities of ISRO for Gaganyaan mission. So in this particular lecture, at the end of the lecture, you will be able to understand what ISRO is expecting from faculties, that is from us, from our community, teaching community. And the second point is to impart the importance of interdisciplinary research work. So I will be explaining few topics and how the interdisciplinary work will be going to helpful for that particular project. Okay, so that I will be discussing with you guys. And the third one is to help ISRO with various innovative idea and applications for weather mission. Yes. So as a teacher, right, we are developing our students to innovate and to get into the entrepreneurship. So the same way with this, we are going to help ISRO and help India for future mission Gaganyaan human space program of India, right? So we what we are going to do is we are going to give some valuable ideas and suggestions in the name of proposal. Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss in this entire lecture. So introduction, um, as I told the previous, right, ISRO's human space program Gaganyaan mission will be aiming to send humans to low Earth orbits. Okay, so this is the mission which was announced by Dr. K. Shivan sir, chairman of ISRO, and previous year, last year, he has declared that, and our Prime Minister Modi also has declared the statement that India will send humans to the space. So, which was a most welcomed move in the space sector for India. Okay, so for that particular program, for that particular mission, Gaganyaan mission, the ISRO needs long-term research as well as future plan, like 5-year plan, right? Like research plan they need for that particular mission. Okay, so so ISRO is expecting the academic institutions as well as the national research organizations to get involved in these particular projects. Okay, so this opportunities for professors we are going to discuss. We are not going to discuss about opportunities for startups or opportunities for various other organizations. We are going to discuss about opportunities for faculties. How, what are the opportunities are there, and how we can work with ISRO. So the first topic we are going to see is radiation hazard characterization and mitigation techniques. So in this particularly radiation hazards, the major goal of space radiation projects, right? So if you are having a background of physics or background of mechanical department, right? So you can go for this particular project, space radiation project. It is to enable human exploration of space without exceeding an acceptable level of risk. So everyone knows there is a space radiation is there, right? In moon also radiation is there, right? So in order to work in that particular environment, right? So we need to have special equipments, right? Special suit, right? So we have to develop such type of suits and equipments so that particular human exploration mission will be getting good in a way. Okay, so the first project which I am showing is radiation hazards characterization. So everyone knows that about that. So if you are really interested in that, you can work in this particular field. So throughout the entire lecture, I am just giving the topics. I'm not getting into the depth of the topics because we don't have much time. So I have to finish that within 45 minutes. So the first topic is radiation hazard and how we can going to help ISRO with that. So if you see that all these entire topics and entire lectures, I have given an example with NASA's previous mission, because the data of NASA's previous missions are available much more higher than the other space agencies. So if you see the human astronauts spend on the surface of the moon time, okay, how much amount of time the astronauts spend on the surface of moon, okay. So that was given over here: Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 14 and 15 and 16 something, okay, right. So if you see the date and time, right, total duration date, right, so it was 8 days, then 10 days, and again it is dropped 9 days and 10 days and 11 days and 12 days. So if you see the Apollo 15, 16, 17, the days are increasing, right? The number of days are increasing. So lunar surface duration also it will be increasing, okay, like in terms of hours and minutes, okay, right. So the same manner, if you see that radiation level, right, when in Apollo 14 they have stayed in the lesser day, but they have exposed to maximum of radiation of 1.414, but in other case they have calculated the radiation average radiation dose was they have calculated. So this type of missions need to be the radiations has to be measured first of all, then we have to go for how to rectify. So I request all of you to visit Life Science Data Archive, okay, at JSC, Joseph Space Center. So there you will be getting the details about the radiation hazards. So you can take, if you are really working on this particular research area, and if you really want to work in this, you can write your proposal. So the second one is space food and related technologies. So everyone knows that our mission is planned for 1 or 2 weeks, right? So the full plan has to given later part. So here the space food and related technologies. I'm just showing some of the examples, like Japanese ramen from JAXA, Bulgarian space food, and one of the ground training of Skylab 2 crew. So how they will be working on that, so that type of instruments also has to be developed, machines has to be developed. So astronauts making and eating hamburgers on board of ISS Harvest 2007. So this type of food making or food pre-packed foods, right, that type of and related technologies in the sense like to make shelves, or to make freezers, or to make like to hold the materials, right. So we have to make such type of technical instruments as well as uh, products, okay. So that has to be made for our Gaganyaan mission. So when we are speaking about foods, right, so the entire nation, like if we are speaking about America, they will go for hamburgers, and JAXA Japanese will eat their traditional foods, right. So if Indians are going that, then Indian traditional foods has to be prepared, and it has to be packaged, it has to be made in package, and it has to be stored in freezers, right. So for that particular thing we have to develop our technology in that way, okay, which will be going to helpful for future mission, Gaganyaan mission. Okay, so the next thing is yeah, the same thing I forgot to say. Fresh fruits and vegetables can be also stored safely at room temperature during the space flight. Even some astronauts have asked for beefs for flight, as it is has a extended shelf life. Okay, so it is just demanding, but the modern astronauts where people are going for space, the food, when we are speaking about food, fruit salad, spaghetti or vegetables, whatever it was, so it has to be stored, and it has to be you might have seen some videos also, right? So it has to be uh, made cooked in the space station or in space capsules. Okay, so it depends upon the nation to nation, how what depend upon the mission also. Okay, mission duration. So, if you are really interested with space food development or related technologies like packaging, how to package the space food, how to store, what are the instruments required. If you are belonging to electronics department, you can go for to make instruments related to storage of food, right? To maintain the temperature, right? So, and other factors also you can go for it. So the third one is inflatable habitats technology. So one of the very much interesting technology is inflatable habitats technology. So if you see the images over here, right? So you can see the volume. So this is one of the inflatable membrane or structure. You can say inflatable structure. So it is started to expand, right, toward these images, sequence of image. You can see how much length it is extended. Okay, so this type of inflatable habitable habitats technology has to be developed for future Gaganyaan mission. The technologies which I am speaking in this particular lectures, right, it is not only for Gaganyaan mission. Apart from that, the future ISRO's human space missions can be also applicable. Okay, so don't think that it is only for Gaganyaan mission. No, it will be applicable for future missions also. Okay, so what is the application of this inflatable habitats technology, right? So the main thing is it is one of the pressurized structure. Okay, so it is a pressurized structure capable of supporting life in outer space, whose internal volumes increases after launch. So the internal volume before launch, it will be compressed, right? And it will be, the internal volume will be very less, so that when we are launching from a rocket or from spacecrafts, so that structure won't affect any aerodynamic problem. It won't create major aerodynamic problems. Okay, so once it is reaching International Space Station, or it is orbiting around Earth, or if it is orbiting around any other planet, then it can be expanded as much as required in various that given mass. There is a particular mass is also given, right? It will withstand particular weight. So this type of technology need to be developed for our ISRO. Okay, so if you are really interested in making such type of structures, then it will be great to work with ISRO easily. So ongoing research, the main, this type of configuration has been developed by Bicklow. Okay, so they have developed this type of technologies, Bicklow expandable activity model, and they are having going to plan for a commercial space station also. And NASA multi-mission space exploration vehicle, they have installed this type of inflatable habitats. Okay, so when they require, they will expand. When they don't require, they will contract. Right. So fourth one is human robotic interfaces. So I hope you might have seen that Vayumitra, which was given in the Human Space Flight and Symposium, Human Space Flight Symposium in Bangalore, January 2020. So what ISRO is expecting with human robotic interfaces. If you are belonging to mechatronics or if you are belonging to electronics department, this is one of the best project which you can go for. And if you choose this particular area, if you choose this particular research area, you have to develop a system which is going to help the astronauts. Okay, so I hope you remember that Dr. K Shivan has already told that the Vayamitra will be sent with our human uh, in the human space flight program, which was scheduled actually in around, the test was scheduled in the next year. So that warm Mitra will be helping the astronauts in some factors for controlling. Maybe it can control systems, or it can suggest some ways, right? So it depending upon how we build that, how we are programming that machine. Okay, so the human robotic interface will be going to be best thing for ISRO. So apart from human robotic interfaces, we can say that collaboration between the rovers, Mars rovers is there, or any type of planetary rovers, unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs are there, right? And other robotic activities, which is going to help and optimize the astronauts task performance. Okay, so that will be going to be very much challenging opportunity for professors to involve in this particular human robotic interface. So the fifth topic is thermal protection system. In this thermal protection system, or otherwise sometimes they will be calling it as TPS. So I hope many have seen how the Gaganyaan mission will be going to be launched. It will be going to be launched with the help of a space capsule. Okay. So the space recovery capsule, the part test was already done in 2018 also, and the first test was done in 2009. Okay, space recovery capsule, crew recovery capsule, will be saying. And in this, the one of the important parameter to make a successful re-entry into the Earth, right? So sometimes they will be calling it as planetary atmosphere also. So if you see the first line itself, space vehicles that enter a planetary atmosphere, or we can say re-entering into the Earth, right? So the manned mission will be successful once the astronauts come back to Earth and they are landing successfully in the Earth's surface, right? So then only we can say it is a successful mission. So for that, the capsule needs thermal protection system. Okay, so when the capsule is re-entering at an altitude of 100 kilometer, right, from mean sea level. Okay, so the aerodynamic heating will be large, right? It will be going up to about 2000 degrees Celsius. So think about the material. The material which we are using in the capsule surfaces should not get melted, and it should not conduct the heat also, so that the astronauts inside the capsule should not feel the thermal heat. Okay, so we have to make the thermal protection system in such a way that it will be the thermal heating, right? It has to the temperature should be distributed, and it should be uh, made to protect the entire instruments inside the capsule also, and other necessary systems inside the capsule. Okay, so that we can go for the successful landing. So one of the example I am showing here with respect to NASA's thermal protection system, the image which you are seeing in this, right, the first image which you are seeing is the tiles, thermal protection system tiles. Okay, so nearly 1,000 tiles are used in the wing. Okay, in the wing of the space shuttle. So the right side image, it is showing the infrared. Sorry, the right side image, it is showing the infrared image which was taken from Kuiper Airborne Observatory. Okay, so infrared image of underside means lower side of the Columbia Space Shuttle during the re-entry. Okay, so to identify the temperature study, to study the temperatures, they have used one observatory, right? Using the infrared images, they have studied how the temperature is going to be when the vehicle is coming back to Earth. Okay, so the orbiter was 56 kilometers height. Okay, around the altitude is around 56 kilometers, and the traveling Mach number is nothing but the speed of the vehicle. Okay, now in aerospace terms, they will be defining with respect to sound. Okay, so the Mach is given with respect to speed of the vehicle divided by speed of the sound. So the Mach is 15.6. Okay, right. So if you're really interested in materials, if you're really interested in developing structures to withstand high temperature, then go for the thermal protection system. And if you are if you have successfully developed one material for thermal protection system, then you can go for a startup even where ISRO is ready to get those materials from your organization itself. So the next one is environmental control and life support systems. So simply they will be calling it as ECLSS, ECLSS. Okay. So environmental control life support system. So what I am showing is the example from NASA only. So how they are controlling in International Space Station. So the same will be not the same type of methods also we have to follow. Okay, so when we are speaking about environmental control and life support system, right? So environmental means surroundings, right? A human is there, so if the surrounding will be called as environment, right? So when International Space Station, right, the fire detection and suppression will be there, air, oxygen, temperature, humidity control will be there, and waste management, and everyone knows the urine will be processed also, and potable water processing, so where the product water will be going into the crew system, right, for water dispenser, shaving, hand wash, or uh, shaving. Then the wastewater will be again processed, right? From that oxygen will be separated, right? And for carbon dioxide removal also there will be a system. So this type of systems has to be implemented for our Gaganyaan mission also. So if you are having a new method, if you are having a new life support systems, right, then you can develop your method of or new techniques which you can implement in this life support system also. That will be very much helpful for the ISRO's Gaganyaan mission. So so far I have told near about six projects or six topics we have covered, but I didn't mention how to proceed further, right? So many of those who have experience in their particular in doing research and giving submitting the proposals, they know very well the procedure how it has to be done. But those who are not knowing about how to submit the proposal or how to proceed further, right? So we have to encourage them also. So I will suggest one thing: those who are new, those who are faculty, those who are less than 5 years, those who are not submitted any proposals. So I request you to read the research articles related to the particular topics. So once you start to read research articles, and most probably NASA's NTRS website, there is a website called NTRS, okay, which will have the data of NASA's previous missions. It is open source; anyone can access to that. Some of the files are confidential, which will be only accessible by the NASA scientists, but many details, even the uh, environmental control and the life support systems for International Space Station, it is also available in those particular web pages itself. Okay, so you just have to type NTRS in Google, it will show the link. Okay. So one of the best example for environmental control and life system which I am showing over here is oxygen generator. So I hope you might have heard about Mir. Mir is a space station which was developed by Russia, and it was only developed by Russia, not like International Space Station. So Russia is having a separate space station called Mir. So in that they have used electron, that is the name of oxygen generator, which is like electrolytic oxygen generator. So it uses the electrolysis process to produce oxygen. Okay, so the instrument which you are seeing over here. So this type of oxygen system is one of the life support system which is required for space missions. So if you are if you can make a small type of oxygen generator, right, then it will be great. So I request all the faculties, if you those who are really interested in this type of projects, they can go for this life support systems. So green propulsion, that is our seventh topic. So when I'm speaking about green propulsion, uh, many of the biofuels have already came into the market. So but apart from that, the example which I'm showing is related with NASA's technology only. So what they have implemented in their spacecrafts. So one of that is green propellant infusion mission. So they have taken this as a mission itself. They have sent a spacecraft. Already they have sent a spacecraft with green propellant. Okay. So what they did is to ensure less toxic and higher performance. So if you are using green propellant, right? So instead of existing chemical propellant, right? So we have to uh, have less toxic. That is the aim of green propellant. But the performance should not be get affected, right? So if the spacecraft's performance is getting affected, then the propellant is not going to help us. So propellant performance or efficiency, you can name like that. So we have to make a green propulsion system, right? Propellant, or we can say propellant, which is going to give less toxic, but it will give the good performance. Okay, compared to the previous chemical propellant. So one of the thing what NASA did is they have replaced replaced the hydrazine, okay, which is toxic in nature, and they have turned to ammonium nitrate, okay, or we can say hydroxyl ammonium nitrate monopropellant, which they have used for satellite, and it is expected as a future propellant for satellites, okay, including longer mission durations, right, and also for increased payloads. This green propellant will be used for future applications. So the same type of green propellants are needed for our ISRO's Gaganyaan mission, as well as the future missions for ISRO also. Okay. So the eighth one is advanced space materials and testing. So I have shown you an image why we need to have space materials and testing. So everyone might be here about NDT testing, non-destructive testings. You might have learned, or you might have you might be doing that also in your laboratories, right? So the image which shown in the left side, right, that represent a gardener is looking for the vegetable, whether it is uh, ripening, right? Whether it is ripen or not. Okay. So the same in the right side, an astronaut is seeing the materials, how the material is there, and the processing facilities, right? So that she is seeing over here. Why we have to see a material before the launch? It is an important thing. Everyone knows what is the importance of materials playing in a spacecraft, not only in a spacecraft, any automobile vehicle or any buildings, right? So materials is playing a major role. So to build a spacecraft, we must begin with the materials. That yes, that is the right thing. Because in re-entering, the material is different, requirement is different. When it is going to just orbit for longer duration, then the material requirement is different, right? So depending upon the mission, the material has to be chosen for that. So the design of space shuttle systems encountered many material challenges such as weight savings, that is the material which you will be using, it has to it should have less weight, so that but the tensile strength should be higher, and it can be reusable. So reusable materials are very much demanded in the market. So reusability, the material has to be made in such a way that we can reuse that, and operating in space environment. Yes, for spacecrafts, right? We are going to use it in the zero gravity. So that particular environment, the material should play the major role, right? So that's why we are going. Sure, if you are developing materials, right? Those who are working in the material field. So I have already told thermal protection system. So for that we need coatings, insulation tiles, right? So if you are really interested, you can go for that. And testing. So when we are speaking about testing, so we have to test in the space environment, right? That is zero gravity environment. So we have to develop the testing facilities such that uh, we can test the material in the ground itself with zero gravity capacity. So we have to develop that system, okay, zero gravity system, so that we can test the materials also. Okay, so if you are just develop a material and you are testing under earth standard atmospheric condition, then it is not going to be applicable in the space, right? So you have to develop this testing facility also under zero gravity environment. Okay, so those who are interested in this particular field, you can go for it. So the ninth project which you can help for is debris management. So everyone knows what is debris is, the dead satellites or parts of satellites or any other uh, objects which is revolving around the, not only earth, if it is around the Mars or if it is on any planet, we can say it is debris. So there are as much as large piece of debris is there, same smallest debris is also there, which are smaller than a millimeter, which are smaller than a millimeter debris is also there. Okay, so which is not easily possible to detect with sensors. Okay, so what I am shown in the image is one of the debris, which is actually the second stage of a Delta II launch vehicle. So that is the second stage of Delta II launch vehicle, which was fallen back to Earth. Okay, so this debris has to be collected and it has to be tested how the material is getting affected in the space environment. So we can study about that. Okay, so the debris management, and everyone knows that entire Earth, the planet Earth orbit, right? So it was covered with many spacecrafts. Now that is, we can say, non-usable spacecrafts. Okay, so debris management and vegetation, that is very important thing for future missions. Okay, so if the debris is hitting any of the spacecraft and the spacecraft is getting damaged, then it is going to be a huge loss, not only for that particular organization. If the debris is forming and if it is hitting to the international space station, then it is also a major problem. Okay, so there are some evidence. I hope many of you know that Hubble Space Telescope is there. So there are many evidence of small cracks and dents has been formed due to the debris around the low Earth orbit. Okay, so LEO stands for low Earth orbit. So around the low Earth orbit, many debris has been hit to the Hubble Space Telescope. So the 10th one is energy harness and storage. So harvesting the energy and how to store that in particularly in the space environment. So one of the important thing while preparing a presentation for this particular lecture, I have seen how NASA is scheduling that roadmap of their missions. Okay, so that's what I have shared you with right now. So right now we are in 2020, right? 2020. But if you see their missions, it will be around. It is going around 2035 and 2050 also. It is going like that. Okay, their missions will be aimed at 2050. So how they are developing such technologies as per this roadmap? Okay, this roadmap is only focused about the power and energy storage only, power generation and energy storage. Okay, so the mission Explorer mission, which was scheduled around the launch will be around 2023 as well as 2029. Okay, two missions are there. So the green color delta, right? The triangle is showing that launch date. Okay, so that dot, right? This dot, white dot, it is indicating that the technology requirement starting. That is, they are starting that technology development on this particular date. Okay, so for the launch around 2023, they have started the technological development in 2018 itself. Okay, even for the launch of 2029, it is started in the 2018 itself. The date which is mentioned as the red color, right? Need. So in this particular schedule, they have to produce the technology. So this is the time when they are going to start the development. The need is mentioned as that they are going to provide that particular technology. Okay, so that they can successfully test in the upcoming years, successfully test there, and then they can proceed for the final launch. If there are any changes, they can go back and they can rectify that changes also. So this type of things where NASA is doing. So one of the Venus, right, to explore the Venus, they have developed four different type of systems. So as I told you earlier, we are not going in depth of each and every topic, as we are having very less time schedule over here. So this type of roadmap is also required for ISRO, as they are developing such type of system for future space mission. So even as a faculty, right, for our project also we have to make this type of roadmap. So this type of roadmap will give us some tentative ideas. So what we are going to do in this particular years, 5 year or 10 year. So we can do our work accordingly. Okay, right. So what are the power generation and energy storage techniques which are available and they are currently used in the space station also? So first one is energy harvesting, that is chemical, solar or radioisotopic use or fusion, nuclear fusion can be also done. So storage, batteries, lithium ion batteries are playing a major role in energy storage in the space sector, especially in ISRO's spacecraft. Flywheels, regenerative fuel cap cells and capacitors which can store the energy. So the advancement in this particular field, right, the power generation and energy storage, that you have to learn on by yourself, right? Then you can develop those systems and successfully you can collaborate with ISRO for future space missions. So the 11th one is one of the interesting thing. I hope many have seen NASA's astronauts doing 3D printing in the International Space Station. So the same type of technology ISRO is also expecting for future Gaganyaan mission, that is the in situ 3D manufacturing technology, or we will be saying in space 3D manufacturing technology. Okay, so in space 3D manufacturing, that is ISM, it is responsible for developing on-demand manufacturing capabilities that will be required for affordable and sustainable operation during exploration mission. Suppose consider that the astronauts, those who are repairing the space station, right? So sometimes they may drop their tools. So the tools will be revolving around the Earth. It will be orbiting around the Earth. So they won't go for collecting the tools, right? So instead of that, they will 3D print those tools so that they can work with that itself. Okay. So apart from just 3D printing, they will be having scanning, 3D scanner also. So whatever the instrument, not only the instrument tools, right? They want to develop, they will be developing using the 3D scanner, and apart from that, they will be having the recycler also. So whatever the material they are having, right? They will recycle that and they will utilize that for next product to develop that product. Okay, so such type of in-space manufacturing technology for ISRO's Gaganyaan mission is also needed, and I hope many of the faculties already they are working on 3D printing. So if you are really interested on 3D printer sector, then you are almost welcome to go for this particular project. So the 12th topic or 12th project, which is focused on fluid technology and management in space. Yes, fluid technology, if we are speaking about blood, right, even in blood, if you are drinking water in space station, right, so the fluid flow has to be studied carefully. The fluid support for life support, right? So we have seen in the previous environmental and life support project also how the water is recycled, right? The fluid, the water fluid, that oxygen formation, hydrogen suppression, how it has been done. So in order to study that, we have to understand the two-phase flow in the space, phase separation, how it is going to be in the behaving in the space, and boiling and condensation and capillary and interfacial phenomena, how it will be happening, and how the if we are making a fluid path, right? If you're making a pipe, installing a pipe itself, and if you want to recycle any water, the waste waters, so you should understand how the structure and the water wastewater is going to behave in the structure in the zero gravity environment. Okay, so that type of study is necessary for ISRO's future space mission also. Okay, so if you are really interested with the multi-phase and interfacial problems, then you can go for fluid technology and its management in this space. So the 13th is space bioengineering. So everyone knows that bioengineering is really going to provide the life support systems to enable humans to live in the space. Okay, so many of you have heard that term called space tourism. So for space tourism and all, the bioengineering plan has to provide the life support systems so that we can ensure that the space is safe for humans, and we can uh, we can go for further space tourism. Okay, so another term is we have to extend the life period with minimum resupply. So that is also in the hand of bioengineering branch. Okay, so if you are having a minimum resupply also, that we have to make a team of particular member to as much as long, okay, they can stay in the station, in the space station, or any other particular missions in the particular spacecraft, it depending upon the bioengineering branch. Okay, so other other things of bioastronautics. It is also related with biological and astronautical research. So if you are related with, if you are very familiar with biological biomechanics, right? How the structure is behaving, how their bones, how the human bones are behaving. So if you are really good with biomechanics, then you can go for bioastronics projects. So the 14th is space medicines. So I hope there is no faculty who has registered for related for this bioastronetics or space medicine development. Even though I am giving that particular hints and particular ideas about that. So for astronauts, suppose those who are new from ground from Earth to International Space Station, they will feel dizziness and they will fall sick. Suddenly they will fall sick and their eyesights will be getting blurred. So those type of problem is common when a people is getting transferred from Earth to space. Okay, so the space medicines has to be developed in a such a way that it it will be as a space medicine, right? So if it is a solid, then it is not a problem. When it is a liquid, right, then the uh, fluid process, how it will behave, that also has to be studied, right? So this type of space medicines has to be developed for ISRO's future Gaganyaan mission also, so that our astronauts, those who are going for in Gaganyaan mission, they can this type of medicines can help them to avoid bone loss or blindness as well as the other health issues also. So the 15th topic is simulated gravity technologies. So one of the important technology is artificial gravity, right? So artificial gravity implementation. Suppose if you know that Mars, right? So the Earth gravity will be different, Mars gravity will be different. So our body and our astronauts, those who are trained, right? So for them, the environment in Earth as well as nowadays those who already went into International Space Station, they might have learned about their entire body will be trained according to the particular conditions, a particular environment. So if you are going for Mars, their gravity will be different. So in order to avoid that, NASA is developing this type of technology called artificial gravity. Okay. So ISRO is also going for particular research simulated gravity technology, which will help astronauts to train for extreme conditions. So when they are in the ground, right? So the simulated gravity technology will be going to help to experience the weightlessness. So apart from that, the artificial gravity, right, it can be used in the interplanetary journey for journey to the Mars also. So with these 15 topics, I'm ending the session. And so apart from these 15 topics, if you are having any other ideas, then you can submit your proposal to ISRO. So those who are heading that project, they will be called as principal investigator, right? So the principal investigator has to submit the project which I have shown you the 15 topics, which ISRO is expecting from professors, especially teaching faculties and those who are really working in the research field, right? So the proposal has to be submitted in a specified format. I will show the format also, and the summary, right? It has to send to the director of Human Space Program, ISRO's headquarters, Bangalore. Okay, so the email ID is there. So the last date for receiving the proposal is 31st August 2020. So previously it was 15th July and now they have extended that 31st August 2020. So that's why I would like to share with faculties, those who are not aware of this particular uh, opportunity. They will be just uh, try, at least you can try for that, so that you can feel something you are doing for your country. Okay, for future ISRO's, you are supporting ISRO's project, future missions also. So for the term being how to submit the proposal, so which was shown over here, in this you can see the same type of introduction is given over here. I will share this link with you guys. It will be available in the description, so those who are watching in TIMS platform, I'll be sharing the link in that announcement of opportunity by ISRO itself, so you can take the PDF from that directly. Okay, so whatever the tentative list of technology development areas, I have informed you step by step, and I have neglected that human psychology for long-term missions, so which is also one of the important project which has to be considered. And the same things I have told. So some of the few selection process and terms and conditions have been given. So before submitting your ideas, right, I will suggest you one thing: you just file the patent. Before submitting the idea, you just register for a patent, or you just register in a conference with the same title of your proposal. So ISRO will be like they won't reject that, but they will be saying to have the patent right, all intellectual property rights such as patents, copyrights, and design rights acquired by the academic institution or PI through the design and realization shall be jointly owned by ISRO. Okay. So why I am asking you to file the patent or for go for copyrights? So this is your work, right? So even if you are submitting and if you are not selected by for this project and someone else is using your particular research, right, so that will be a bad thing. So it's better, always better to have filed a patent and the particular title, or file a copyrights, right? So then you can, because already they have mentioned strictly that it will be owned by ISRO also. So whatever you are sending, it will be owned by ISRO also, right? So if they are selected in that, your if the project which you are submitting and it is not selected, okay. So the proposal application is given format for submitting. So you can go for that, and I request all of the faculty members, those who are attending in this particular session, you have to submit your proposal, so that at least give a try. Those who are new to this particular proposals, at least give a try, so that if your research work is good, surely you can work with ISRO scientists, and you can get funded for that particular project also, and your name will be written for first human space program of ISRO Gaganyaan mission. So with this I am ending the lecture. So if you are having any doubts, any queries, please type it in the comment box. I will reply to that. Those who are watching in TEMS uh, platform, you can type it in the discussion forum. So I will reply to that for your help. So other than that, if you require any help from our side, you can always mail to us, contact at wingsofarrow.in. Okay, so wish you all the best. I hope everyone will submit the proposal as much as possible, right? And also I request you to share this content, this lecture, with your uh, known colleagues, right? Your institution colleagues, you can share to them, because this type of things many professors won't reveal to other professors. So being in the same field, right, I request all of you to share those contents. The PPT will be also available in the TEMS platform. So those who are watching live in the YouTube, I request them to go for the TEMS platform to download the PPT. So I request you to share with other professors, those who are maybe you are from mechanical background. Suppose you might need the help of EC department. So you can ask them the help, and you can include them in your particular project also, right? So that is the interdisciplinary work which is required for ISRO's human space program. Okay, so I hope you like the lecture, and with this I'm ending the session. Thank you. Thank you.